Okay, one way that Wordle can be handy to you as an English teacher, just one of the many ways, is its ability to boil down seemingly complex and large texts into very basic displays of what it views as the most significant or important words in that text. Now, where I see this being particularly useful is in the English classroom, especially at the higher level, senior level of class. So in an ENG 4U, a 3U, something along those lines, where you have texts that are traditionally challenging for students. And I'm thinking mainly Shakespeare, Renaissance related works, things like that, that some students, not all, but some really tend to struggle with. And one reason they tend to struggle with it is they have a hard time understanding that the words on the page are more than just fiction, that there are patterns being created through grammar, through word choice, diction, through all of these different ideas, the plot, themes, and that these patterns are creating meaning for them to understand. And I think that's a hard jump for students to make. However, if you're a more mathematical-minded student, you're someone who does well with visuals, they need to see colors, things like that, then all of a sudden Wordle creates a very new way to discuss a text or to analyze a text. And one way you can do that is simply breaking down a bigger work like, say, Hamlet, and boiling it down into an act-by-act or scene-by-scene Wordle that demonstrates, through its own random generation, what it sees as significant changes from act to act. So if we were to look through this presentation here, for example, it progresses from Act 1 through to Act 5, and each is a randomly generated Wordle. So this is exactly what that text and the Wordle system have come up with. You look at the first one, you see Hamlet, Lord, Father, Ghost, different things that are obviously, the word no, that are obviously important to this scene or this act. You move ahead, the play's starting to develop, you have new characters being introduced. You could talk with the class as a class discussion about whether or not certain words should be deleted from these Wordles, whether they're actually important or not. And I mean, you could look at things as basic as articles, things like that. Or you could look and say, do Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, are they, I mean, they're important characters because they move the plot along, but do they really belong at this point? Are they crucial to the understanding of this play? Do they fit your analysis of it? Are they a major player? And I think you can make arguments for and against including or removing characters such as that. Now you'd move through, you'd see Act 3 looks very different again, and you could talk about the significance of what is different about it. And one major difference is that for one of the first points in the play, it's no longer Hamlet who's important, it's Claudius. Claudius is the one all of a sudden, and the idea of kingship, those things have taken over the play in this act. And that is because Hamlet is trying to trap him. Hamlet has realized Claudius is, almost 100% for sure, the one who killed my father. Now, everything at this point becomes about Claudius, the queen, Gertrude, obviously the same person, so you could talk as a class about combining those words into one and making it a better reflection of what it truly is, and Hamlet. Those are the key players at this point. And all of those other words would fit in there. So you could look at the words with students and talk about specific connections in these texts, looking at how certain words fit together. Like again, the Gertrude, Claudius, King, Hamlet, all of those, the Ophelia as an offshoot. You could talk about significance of each of those actors, the placement, the color of the letters, all of those different things would matter. As you move into Act 4, when Hamlet now knows, okay, it is Claudius, he did kill my father, almost beyond a doubt, then all of a sudden Hamlet becomes the most important person again, because this play is all about him at this point. It becomes about, should he act or should he not? When should he act? Should he kill Claudius when he's praying and his soul is clean? Does he wait till later? That becomes the focus of the play, and it's demonstrated in this Wordle. You get to the end of the play, and again, Hamlet is a major player. Horatio is back. The word clown makes a big appearance. And I mean, if you were doing this as a discussion with class, you could talk about the fact that, yeah, maybe that's because Osric is a bigger player. While he appears in the scene, he interacts with Hamlet in a meaningful way. Is it just because Osric are there, or is it a commentary on Hamlet's acting or on something to do with life? So you can do all kinds of different things, create all kinds of whole class discussions using this as a tool. Or you could have students go through and do the same thing with the play themselves, not necessarily act by act or scene by scene, but they could use this as a supportive tool for an essay or some other course component where they're needed to demonstrate their knowledge, their understanding of content of the text, but also analysis, literary devices, fitting all of that together into a clear argument that makes sense. This would give them another tool, another way to show that their words on the page in a text-based essay are true or are believable. They could use a Wordle and its generation and their own control over that generation, over colors, layout, different effects like that, to in essence back up their essay, support it, and in another way, and another sort of textual way, to show that their essay is good, sound, and effective.